Good afternoon, everyone. We shut off the fan for noise purposes, but if anyone is warm or finds that you are getting warmer, please just raise your hand and signal, and we'll shut it back on. Okay?
So are all the commissioners here who are going to be here?
Laird's on his way, so we have a quorum, right? Good.
All right, welcome everyone. Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
On this day, Wednesday, February 13th, 2013, at 4 p.m., the regularly scheduled board meeting of the Chicago Park District is being held in the field house of La Follette Park, located at 1333 North Laramie Avenue, Chicago, Illinois. Will the secretary take a roll call of the commissioners?
Yes, sir. Commissioner Shalaby?
Here.
Commissioner Koldyke? Commissioner Lavelle? Commissioner Salgado?
Here.
Commissioner Allen? Here. President Armstrong? Vice President Armstrong?
Here.
President Robert?
Here.
Quorum is present. Let the record reflect that General Superintendent Michael Kelly and General Counsel Maria Garcia are also in attendance.
This meeting will please come to order. Welcome, everyone. It's great for us. We always love coming out to the field. We do this quarterly, and it's great to get out here to beautiful La Follette Park on such a lovely February day. But welcome. We're very glad you all are here. It's warm here, so I hope commissioners will feel free to shed their jackets. We're going to be here a little while and stay comfortable. Again, if anyone feels that it's just too warm here, we'll be happy to turn the fans back on. Item number 1, certificate of publication of the annual appropriation ordinance for the year 2013 of the Chicago Park District, and certification from the Chief Financial Officer on the estimate of receipts for the fiscal year 2013. This will be marked as received and filed by the Secretary. Item number 2, certificate of filing of the annual appropriation ordinance for the year 2013 of the Chicago Park District, and certification from the Chief Financial Officer on the estimate of receipts for the fiscal year 2013 with Clerk of Cook County. This will be marked as received and filed by the Secretary. Item number 3, approval of the meeting minutes from the regular meeting held on January 16th, 2013. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Will the Secretary take a roll call of the commissioners?
Commissioner Shalaby?
Aye.
Commissioner Salgado?
Aye.
Commissioner Allen? Aye. Vice President Armstrong?
Aye.
President Robert?
Aye.
Motion carried and the matter is adopted.
Next on the agenda is people in the parks. Will the Secretary please call the names of those who signed up to speak?
Our first 3 speakers are George Blakemore, Irma Trenter, and Maria Stone. We ask that you please limit your comments to 2 minutes. Mr. Blakemore? Ms. Trenter? Mr. Stone? Okay, our next speaker is Randall Raafla.
Is he here?
It appears as though they have not arrived yet.
Okay. No one could find us. That's it?
That's it, sir.
This is without precedent. Okay. Under unfinished business, nothing was presented for consideration. At this time, I would like to make a motion to suspend the rules and take an item, executive session, out of order.
I would so move.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried.
Okay, at this time, the board will go into executive session to consider various matters appropriately discussed in executive session pursuant to the Illinois Open Meetings Act. There will be a discussion of a litigation case pursuant to 5 ILCS 120, Section 2, subsection C11. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Okay, the motion's carried. The meeting is now in executive session.
Mike.
Do you want some tea? Oh, no, sure. Cool. Are you still cracking Mike? No, I do too.
The Board of Commissioners met in executive session to discuss a litigation case. Let's see. Is there a motion to return to open session?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Against? Motion carried. Return to open session.
The Board of Commissioners met in executive session to discuss a litigation case pursuant to 5 ILCS 120, Section 2, subsection C11, and have the following matter of new business. There was a discussion of the settlement of Gene Toft versus the Chicago Park District in the amount of $70,000. Is there a motion to approve the settlement?
So moved.
Second.
Will the Secretary take a roll call for the adoption of the matter?
Yes, sir. Also, let the record reflect that Commissioner Koldyke has joined the meeting. Commissioner Shalaby?
Aye.
Commissioner Koldyke?
Aye.
Commissioner Salgado?
Aye.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Vice President Armstrong?
Aye.
President Roberts?
Aye.
Motion carried and the matter is adopted.
Point of order. Would you also have the record reflect that Commissioner Koldyke was in executive session?
Yes, sir. Please let the record reflect that Commissioner Koldyke was in executive session.
And I would also like to welcome Commissioner Koldyke. I will now make a motion to resume the order of the day.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Against? Motion carried, and we will now return to the order of the day.
Under new business, item number 6 from the Director of Revenue, authorization to enter into a contract for the management and operation of the Soldier Field complex surrounding Parkland and McFetridge Sports Center and Baseball Stadium at Devon and Kedzie. Rafi Sarafian.
President Traubert, Commissioners, General Superintendent, and CEO Kelly, good afternoon. My name is Rafi Sarafian, Director of Purchasing, and I'm here today to recommend that the General Superintendent and CEO or his designee enter into a contract with SMG for the purpose of managing and operating the Soldier Field complex and surrounding Parkland, the McFetridge Sports Center, and the baseball stadium at Devon and Kedzie. The contractor was selected pursuant to a publicly advertised request for proposals. No work may commence, and no payment shall be made to the contractor prior to the execution of a written agreement. This contract was publicly advertised as a request for proposals. The RFP discussed the scope of services for the 3 sports facilities in 48 pages and also included 37 exhibits that supplemented the information in the scope. The exhibits included 1, detailed monthly budget reports showing revenue, expense, and event information for the Soldier Field complex from 2003 through 2011. 2, financial reports for the McFetridge Center from 2008 through 2011. 3, activity usage at the McFetridge Center from 2008 through 2011. 4, the Chicago Park District Chicago Bears Permit Operating Agreement, which has been available for months prior to advertisement of the RFP at the contracts library at the Department of Purchasing's homepage. 5, the ISFA Agreement. 6, the Chicago Park District Chicago Bears Sports Service Agreement. 7, the annual ISFA capital resolutions for the Soldier Field complex from 2003 through the present. 8, the furniture, fixture, and equipment inventory for the Soldier Field complex and the McFetridge Center. 9, active concession agreements and other agreements related to the operation of the McFetridge Center. 10, programming and staffing information for the McFetridge Center. 11, the maintenance responsibility guide for the Soldier Field complex. And 12, the snow and ice removal guide for the Soldier Field complex. During the RFP advertisement period, there were walkthroughs of the McFetridge Center, the baseball stadium, and Soldier Field, and there was also a pre-submittal conference. The RFP also included an anticipated project schedule that informed the proposers of 1, the key dates in the procurement process, and 2, February 2013 as the expected month the presentation of the award to the Board of Commissioners would be made. One of the questions the Department of Purchasing received during the advertisement period was a request by AEG to extend the proposal due date 1 month. This request was received on November 6, 2012, and on November 7, 2012, the Department of Purchasing granted AEG's request for a 1-month extension and announced a new proposal due date of December 14, 2012. 2 proposals were received on December 14, 2012, and the Department of Purchasing deemed both responsive and compliant. The evaluation committee was comprised of 5 voting members, all CPD staff: the chief financial officer, the chief operating officer, the budget director, the director of revenue, and the director of facility management. All of these individuals have collectively years of detailed knowledge and familiarity regarding the management, operation, and finances of the sports facilities because their daily responsibilities include oversight of SMG. The evaluation committee also included 1 non-voting member, also a CPD staff person, the chief of staff to the Board of Commissioners. And lastly, the Director of Purchasing and the First Deputy General Counsel provided oversight throughout the evaluation process. The RFP included an overview of the evaluation and selection process and also provided a description of the evaluation criterion and the percentage weight for each. Experience, 25%, implementation plan, 30%, personnel, 20%, and financial proposal, 25%. In addition to thoroughly reading each proposal, the evaluation committee also discussed the proposals at their meetings, which commenced with their first meeting on December 18, 2012, which was approximately 2 hours in length. The committee met again on January 7, 2013, and decided at the conclusion of their 3-hour meeting to invite both proposers to oral presentations. Oral presentations were held on January 17, 2013, and each session lasted approximately 2.5 to 3 hours, wherein the evaluation committee queried each proposer on various aspects of their proposals. After oral presentations, the Department of Purchasing also contacted references for both proposers and shared that information with the evaluation committee. The evaluation committee met twice following oral presentations, and at the end of their 2-hour meeting on January 25, 2013, they decided to send a request for best and final offers to both proposers. Purchasing received both best and final offers on January 29, 2013, and the evaluation committee met for 2 hours the same day to continue their evaluation and review of the best and final offers. The evaluation committee concluded their evaluation by unanimously recommending SMG for award. It was unanimous in the aggregate and in each criterion. The Chicago Park District requires the services of a firm to manage and operate the Soldier Field complex and surrounding parkland, the McFetrich Center, and the baseball stadium at Vaughn and Kedzie. And before I proceed any further, I'd just like to elaborate on what we mean by the Soldier Field complex and surrounding parkland. The areas of responsibility for the manager of the Soldier Field complex and surrounding parkland includes 1, the stadium, 2, the parking facilities, Adler Planetarium Lot, East Museum Lot, North Parking Garage, South Parking Lot, Waldron Parking Deck, and on game day and for other major events, other lots including those at Burnham Harbor and Northerly Island. 3, the Great Lawn, Children's Garden, Sledding Hill, Stadium Green, and Veterans Memorial. And it also includes the pedestrian bridge at 18th Street that heads into the south loop from the stadium. The management and operation responsibilities at the Soldier Field complex and surrounding parkland include maintaining and keeping the stadium and surrounding parkland in a clean and safe condition at all times, creating, booking, and permitting events of all sizes and types. In addition to the field, booking and permitting club space and the colonnades inside the stadium, the parking facilities and surrounding parkland outside. Regarding the field, the Chicago Bears and Chicago Park District permit operating agreement limits the events that may be booked during the Bears season, so essentially the field is available for events after the end of the Bears season until the beginning of preseason. In other words, from February through the end of July. Their responsibilities also include managing the Bears and Park District POA on a daily basis on behalf of the Park District, It includes event operations on game day and for all other events at the stadium and surrounding parkland, including security, medical, parking, and janitorial services. It includes maintaining the field consistent with the Chicago Bears CPD POA, which includes direction from the Bears and other landscaping inside the stadium. It includes maintaining the 17-acre surrounding parkland outside the stadium. It includes being the CPD's daily liaison with the museums on museum campus. It includes managing and implementing capital improvements with the CPD and ISFA approval. And it includes negotiating and securing sponsorship, marketing, and business agreements. Regarding the McFetridge Center and the baseball stadium, the responsibilities include maintaining and keeping the McFetridge Center and the stadium in a clean, safe condition at all times, continuing existing programming, creating, booking, and permitting events of all sizes and types, managing and implementing capital improvements with CPD approval, negotiating and securing sponsorship and marketing agreements, and concessions. SMG manages over 233 arenas, stadiums, convention centers, and other facilities worldwide since 1977. They annually book more than 10,000 events and fill 1.5 million seats. 4 of these facilities are NFL stadiums: Reliance Stadium in Houston, Everbank Field in Jacksonville, the Mercedes-Benz Superdome in New Orleans, and Soldier Field. They've been managing Soldier Field and the surrounding parkland since it reopened in 2003, the McFetridge Center since the fall of 2012, and the baseball stadium since the spring of 2012. At Soldier Field and the surrounding parkland, SMG books annually over 200 diverse events of all sizes and types, utilizing most of the available space inside the stadium and outside it, including 1, field events such as concerts, soccer matches, including major tournaments and friendlies featuring top teams, NCAA football games, NCAA hockey games, super truck events, and high school football. They book club level events such as corporate parties, weddings, and fundraisers. They book events in the south parking lot, so you'll see events such as a Criterion-style cycling race and small car races. They book the surrounding parkland with events such as walks and runs and festivals. And they also converted the north garage underneath the stadium into a nightclub for a corporate party this past year. SMG also annually works with different groups, agents, and organizations and promoters to book events at Soldier Field. For example, SMG worked with the Messina Group, which is one of AEG Live's touring divisions, to bring Taylor Swift to Soldier Field this summer. SMG has achieved LEED certification for Soldier Field, the first NFL stadium to achieve this distinction. They have kept the stadium and surrounding parkland in a clean and well-maintained state at all times year-round. They annually receive high scores from the NFL's Best Practices Audit of their game day operation and the NFL's Fan Code of Conduct Initiative Survey. They have a thorough and extensive understanding of the Chicago Park District Chicago Bear POA, especially its impact on operations and its limitations on booking events and revenue that can be raised. They annually work with the Chicago Park District to develop a capital improvement program and manage and implement approved capital improvements knowledgeably and skillfully. Their staff has many years of experience in the management and operation of Soldier Field, and they are regularly called upon to serve at big events at other venues, including the Super Bowl, and they will continue to serve at Soldier Field. They have developed a sponsorship and business marketing program that generates revenue for the Park District. So in a short time that they've been managing and operating the McFetridge Center and the baseball stadium, SMG has already begun to program new events while also maintaining current programming. Furthermore, they will enhance and reinvigorate both facilities in their communities and district-wide through programming and operation of these facilities. And both of these facilities will be managed by SMG staff. Their commitment is to manage and operate both of these facilities to the same high standards as they do with the Soldier Field complex and surrounding parkland. SMG has the demonstrated experience and capability to manage and operate the Soldier Field complex and surrounding parkland, the McFetridge Center, and the baseball stadium at Devon and Kedzie. and therefore it is in the best interest of the Chicago Park District to recommend SMG for award for the management of sports facilities contract. And now I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Tim King.
Thank you, Rafi. As Rafi mentioned in his very detailed presentation, we operate under a permanent operating agreement with our partners, the Chicago Bears at Soldier Field. Now, Commissioners, although none of you were serving in your current capacities when the original permanent operating agreement with the Chicago Bears was executed in 2001, it plays a vital role in the vote you're taking today. In 2001, the Chicago Park District and the Chicago Bears, as part of the overall agreement to renovate Soldier Field, entered into a permanent operating agreement, otherwise known as the POA, which has been referenced many times. Under the POA, the Bears were given certain use rights and marketing rights with respect to Soldier Field. The Bears' rights include game days, 5-day rule, 34 club-related, sponsor-related events, team areas. The Bears' marketing rights include signage rights, naming rights for various parts of the facility, revenue and profit sharing rights, and product rights. The Bears' use rights and marketing rights do impose certain limitations on the ability to secure events and sponsorships and revenue. In short, CPD and the Bears have to work in conjunction with respect to their various use and marketing rights with regard to Soldier Field. As such, it was critical that the winning proposal articulated and demonstrated a basic understanding of the uniqueness of the partnership between the parties and a thorough knowledge of the permanent operating agreement and the constraints and limits of the Park District therein. In other words, to use a sports analogy, not knowing the POA and expecting to manage Soldier Field effectively is equivalent to a quarterback not knowing the playbook and expecting to win a game. Finally, the winning proposal was reviewed by Convention Sports and Leisure of Minneapolis, Minnesota, and their review found that the compensation and investment package proposed by SMG in this proposal, in addition to the baseline fees and incentive numbers, are fair, reasonable, and consistent with other NFL stadium management arrangements that they have reviewed. At this time, we have available to you, but who will not be speaking unless called upon, Pat Brooks of the law firm of Burke, Warren, and McKay, who were the drafters of the original 2001 POA agreement that I'm referencing. At this time, I'd like to introduce the president of SMG, Wes Wesley, the vice president of finance, Gary McEnany, who both flew in from Philadelphia to be with us today, and certainly our longtime partner who we know who's been managing Soldier Field in a very diligent fashion, Tim Lefevre.
Thank you, Commissioner Superintendent Kelly. Thank you for having us today, and I want to just express our personal thank you and a thank you from SMG for potentially giving us the opportunity to continue what has been almost a 20-year partnership with the Park District and Soldier Field. Some of you may or may not know about SMG, but we're a very, very specialized company that manages stadiums, arenas, and convention centers all over the world, primarily for government entities. We only have one lease, which is in the UK. The rest of our facilities are managed for and by government in one form or another. With me today, I have Gary, who's our Vice President of Finance, who can answer any financial questions, and of course Tim, who can answer any operational questions. I'd just like to say that Soldier Field has probably one of the best staffs of anywhere that we run in the country. I've worked with these people for 20 years. We're going to introduce a few of them later on. They have experience and continuity in these complex facilities. Continuity of management is as critical as anything. And I'm very proud of the staff, and I hope you are too. They've done a great job of running these facilities. If you'll bear with us, we have just a short video on SMG. We'll show that, and I'll let Tim introduce some of his people, and we'll be open for any questions you have about the company or anything that we've offered in our proposal.
Can everyone see? Does anyone need to move?
Yeah.
Just briefly to review what Rafi said, we're a worldwide company. We have business that extends from Istanbul to Hawaii. We're in 9 countries. We're on 233 facilities under management contracts. We don't own any of them. Do about 28,000 events, 50 million visitors a year through all our facilities. Okay. 4 NFL stadiums. We just got renewed in Jacksonville, Florida for the 4th or 5th time. And that's important because we have shared practices. Our staffs share practices with each other. We book consistently across all those facilities. And it's, we have the NFL. We know the NFL best practices. We just got done the Super Bowl in New Orleans, as you know. So we have extensive NFL stadium experience. And locally, again, I think Tim's going to introduce some of your people, but you have some of the best industry vets here at Soldier Field working for SMG. One thing I would like to mention, too, I mean, we're very vested in Chicago and the Lake District. You may or may not know, but we were chosen about 1.5 years ago in a very competitive process to manage McCormick Place. So we're managing McCormick Place. We're chosen in a competitive process to do all the food service at McCormick Place. So we have lots of business here in Chicago and in the Lake District down there. So, Tim?
Thank you. President Traubert, Commissioners, General Superintendent Kelly, first and foremost, thank you for this opportunity to present to you. It's been a great process working with the Chicago Park District staff. There is no staff better in the world than the Park District staff, and I say that sincerely. My first job with the Park District was in 1972. I was a rec leader out at Reese Park, and I've had a long-standing relationship. One guy I will point out, John Nolan. John is the head groundskeeper for Soldier Field. He's been with Soldier Field for 24 years. John is at 32 years total in the Chicago Park District system. There's just a long history between SMG, the Chicago Park District, our staff. And when we say staff, what I really want to say is team, because you have the SMG staff, but you have a team. Juan Gaetan, Monterey Security, I don't know if LZ Higginbotham made it in time, Eastlake Management, Christy Weber. When we look at our team and some of the things we respond to that are important with the city, MBE, WBE, absolutely. We've now achieved this year 48% in our partnership of MBE, WEBE participation at Soldier Field. Those are the things that are important when you build a team to manage a facility like this. Over the past 10 years, as you've heard Rafi say, as you've heard Wes say, it's not about 10 Bear games, it's not about a concert here or there, it's about the facility. What a great vision the City of Chicago and the Chicago Park District had 10 or 11 years ago when they said, how are we going to make Soldier Field a facility for the citizens of Chicago? And that's exactly what it's become. We do the 10 Bear games, we'll do our concerts, we'll do our soccer matches, we'll do things like this year where you see the truck series. You'll see, if you're coming out on Sunday, the ice rink has been fantastic. There's 50,000 tickets sold for the games of Minnesota playing Wisconsin and Notre Dame playing Miami, Ohio. But beyond that, this is a team, and I'd like all of you on this side to stand up for 1 second. This is the team that makes it happen. Over 200 events every year, whether it's the runs in the park, whether it's the events in the stadium, whether it's the club events. Soldier Field has very few dark days and nights. And I think one of the biggest compliments I can say to this team is when we looked at the Park District budget this year, we moved into number 2, and we've been there for a couple of years now, with revenue produced behind property taxes. That's a tall statement to say because for years our competitor was always the Harbors. But with this team, we've surpassed that, and we will continue to do that if we have the opportunity. And I look forward to answering any questions you have, but thank you very much.
Thanks, Tim and team. Now we'd like to bring up our budget director, Juliet Azimi, to talk specifically about the numbers and the proposal.
Good afternoon, Commissioners, Board President, Superintendent Kelly. Juliet Azimi, Budget Director. I'd like to say a few words as the Budget Director who has a vested interest in maintaining this $29 million revenue stream to the Park District. As Tim pointed out, it's second to our tax stream, so this is a very critical revenue source to the Park District. But also I will be speaking as an evaluator on this particular RFP. As was pointed out by our Director of Purchasing, 25% of the evaluation committee's review focused on the financial proposals, and I'd like to just reiterate and go over some of the financial terms under SMG's proposal and why the evaluation committee found their proposal superior to the competing proposal. First off, annual management fees, meaning those fees that are charged to the Park District for management of the sports facilities. SMG's proposal represents a reduction from their current management fees and substantially lower management fees compared to the competing proposal. These are concrete savings to the Park District, concrete savings to the taxpayer. Next item is the capital contribution. SMG will make a capital contribution of $3.5 million with $2.5 million contributed upon contract signing and $1 million contributed at contract extension. Again, these are concrete dollars that may be used by the Park District, and it represents more than 3 times the amount in the competing proposal. The next item is the event marketing fund. SMG will establish an event marketing fund of $1 million for the purpose of promoting, marketing, and developing event activity. This is twice the amount offered in the competing proposal, and the terms of the potential balance are more beneficial to the Park District. Revenue guarantees. While both proposals offered guarantees in terms of revenues and/or events, the evaluation committee felt that the SMG proposal clearly articulated an understanding of the Soldier Field Permit and Operating Agreement, the POA, as you heard of today, with the Chicago Bears, which is crucial to this agreement and any potential revenue generation. Overall, SMG was able to better demonstrate both through past performance and through this process that their proposal of $3.5 million in incremental revenues is one that they will be able to deliver upon and which the Park District will hold them accountable. As I mentioned, the financials were only 25% of the evaluation committee's review. The committee also looked at experience, key personnel, and the proposed implementation plan. Though we recognize AEG as an industry leader, the evaluation committee felt that SMG's proposal was superior across all categories. The Chicago Park District is fortunate to have had this level of competition, And the taxpayers and those who use neighborhood parks will be the ultimate benefactors. I can take any questions, or anybody else could take questions too.
Commissioners, before we turn it over to questions, I want to thank both SMG and AEG for their efforts. It was a spirited, it was an open, and it was a transparent RFP. And I want to thank also the members of the evaluation committee. They spent months, I think, on this particular issue. It's sort of an unsung effort that goes on at the Park District on a lot of RFPs. There's a lot of behind-the-scenes work, a lot of hard work, and I want to thank Juliet in particular for her efforts on the financials.
Thank you.
Okay, this is a very big deal, this contract, and I know we all appreciate that. So at this point, I'd like to invite the commissioners to ask any questions that you have.
If I may start, I know it's a 10-year deal. In terms of compliance with the terms of the agreement, in the event of an issue arising or something to that effect, what mechanism is there for the Park District as well as SMG? Tim?
I'll let Tim speak to the legal end of it, but just on a practical matter, every year, as you know, we pass a budget. We hold our privatized contractors responsible the same way we do our departments. We bring them in, we work with them on a budget, we expect them to adhere to that budget, we monitor it on a monthly basis, we meet with them monthly. We are able to adapt to any kind of revenue dip by adjusting expenditures, so this is something that we are constantly working with the privatized contractor on. I'll let Tim speak to any legal end.
Thank you, Commissioner Shalaby, for that question. Under 6.2 of the agreement, the current agreement, and we're going to revise that shortly, there is a strong termination for both convenience and cause. That will absolutely be in the revised contract.
And that's monitored, as Julie indicated, so because the income is something we're depending on, obviously, and we want to make sure that, I know there's been a good history, and we want to just make sure that it continues
Yes.
in terms of revenue.
As do I.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to be briefed yesterday, which I greatly appreciate. Thank you, Juliet. And
Thank you for taking the time.
And I had the chance to review by line item each component of the bids. And I echo what you said. I congratulate the committee for doing thorough work and taking a competitive process and boiling it down to understandable and comparative numbers, which we were able to do. And so I commend the committee on getting that work done. And I think that your recommendation is both appropriate and in the taxpayer's best interest.
Thank you.
Juliet, I mean, you've probably already answered this question, but can you just tell me, just from a financial point of view, of what's in this and the guarantees that are in that this, compared to the competitor, is the best financial deal for the taxpayers of the city of Chicago?
So what is contained in the SMG proposal is they are committing to a growth of $3.5 million in net revenue for those revenue streams that are under their control. So not including what we receive from the Bears or ISFA, revenue streams that are event-driven, festivals and whatnot. And they would be net revenue, so any expenses that are netted from that. They are committing to growing that by $3.5 million by the end of the contract term. And if it does not reach that, then they are guaranteeing they will pay that $3.5 million. On the other side, we had guarantees from the competing proposal of $12 million over the course of the 10-year contract, and also some guarantees as they related to event numbers. 32 events over the 10-year span in a series of what they termed A, B, or C events, which is based on attendance. These are thresholds that we feel that we reach easily now, so we felt like this was the better financial approach.
So again, the answer to the question is yes. This is the best financial deal for the taxpayers of the city of Chicago.
This is the best financial deal for the taxpayers of the city of Chicago. I believe that, and the committee believes that, and we...
And believed it unanimously.
Unanimously, yes.
And I think it's important to point out that the SMG 3.5 million is incremental to our expected, forecasted revenue numbers from the 10-year contract at Soldier Field.
That's accurate. We agreed on a benchmark of, we used 2011 actual numbers, which were $5 million net. And so if you would multiply that out by the 10 years, it would be $50 million. And their commitment is that it would grow to 53.5. And so that's where the numbers play in, the benchmarking.
What happens if there's, by good fortune, we actually have greater growth?
Greater growth?
Yeah.
Then we would enjoy that.
We win.
No. But no. Right. That old net. I'm just trying to understand this. That old net comes back to us at the Park District.
That's accurate.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, yeah.
I was going to say, Commissioner, a lot of what we're talking about, the numbers, we're talking, Soldier Field, I think, is $29 million?
$29 million
overall. Part of what we're talking about, part of the numbers that Juliet is saying, that is non-bear game, non-events.
Right. No, I understand that.
Yeah, I think the fundamental point is that as the service provider, SMG, they have a strong incentive to grow those non-bear revenues on behalf of the Park District. Or, at the end of the contract, they will write a very substantial check back to the Park District if they were unable to grow those revenues.
That's
the
accurate.
point.
Mike, let me ask you a question. As part of I think a lot of people, if this is in the newspapers tomorrow, will open up their newspaper and they'll say, okay, the Chicago Park District re-upped with SMG, the folks that have been running this, and some people who will say, oh, they're signing up again with folks who there's some reputation about Soldier Field when November and December rolls around that there's difficulty growing grass. So I just wonder if you could talk about that process about growing grass at Soldier Field.
So, coming to streaming live, here's yet another comment from the Chicago Park District on grass at Soldier Field. First of all, I can't stress enough that the decision to be natural turf at Soldier Field is not the Chicago Park District, but in fact the Chicago Bears. We would prefer artificial turf. We prefer its playability. We prefer its ability to program more events, more of these same revenue-generating events at Soldier Field, and we think it's a better opportunity for the taxpayers. That said, it is the Bears' decision. As far as the ability to grow grass, and John Nolan is 34 years, and Tim are here to get into greater detail, but the fact is we've spent a lot of time working on the field conditions, working with Professor McNitt from Penn State, and getting to, quite frankly, a more sand-based type of turf. It's a drainage issue. The type of dirt that is provided for in Illinois tends to be very heavy clay-based, and there's been a lot of work done, and I think the playability of the field has proven that. Furthermore, Chicago, Washington, Cleveland, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, those northern climates, I defy anyone to say that our field isn't the best of all these northern climate grass fields. Unfortunately, most recently, anybody who saw or heard about the Washington Redskins game and RG3's knee, that field was deplorable. So I would personally much prefer artificial turf. There's a beautiful artificial turf behind us with a wonderful Chicago Bears logo at La Follette Park. I would love to see that at Soldier Field. But we have not rested, and I can assure you the playability of the natural grass at Soldier Field will continue, and we will hold SMG accountable for that. Did I miss anything?
Well, Mike, I'd like to ask you a question,
sure.
Follow-up. Then it's not as though we have some sort of false pride that we as a Chicago Park District know how to grow grass better than anyone else. In terms of consultation with the Bears and with the NFL, we're wide open to that, and that happens every day, does it not?
We are open, and we've, in writing, encouraged both the Chicago Bears and the NFL to reconsider the natural grass and go to artificial turf.
But in terms of growing grass, we don't do this in isolation. We do this in partnership.
Oh, right, no. For a game day, for example, that is in consultation with the Bears expert and the NFL officials for a Bears game day. It's anybody who's familiar at all with the NFL, everything is very calculated and very thoughtful in how game day operations are conducted.
I think the facts are that so long as the Bears choose to play on natural turf, we, SMG, the NFL, will do everything possible to create the best playing surface we can, which is what we're trying to do. We do grow grass. We just grow it. Where do we grow it? Arkansas? Oh, bring it up here.
Well, that's truly that. New Jersey probably currently has the best NFL turf in the league, but the costs of getting it here are exorbitant. There may be a day that I come to this board myself and make a presentation to buy a sod farm and grow our own sod, and I'm actually not joking on that, but I'm still holding out hope that we can, the Bears are moving to a more high-powered offense, I hear, and maybe we can appeal to them to go to artificial turf.
As the chairman of the Capital Committee, I don't think you're going to get a sod farm through the Capital Committee. We got other things to worry about.
All right, do the commissioners have any other questions or comments on this? As we've pointed out, this is one of the biggest things that we do, and we're proud of the partnership that we have. Partnership indicates two sides, and it's our commitment to be the very best partners that we can be, and I'm hoping that both sides will move quickly to finalize this and to get a contract in place as soon as possible.
Yes.
But congratulations.
Thank you.
So moved.
I would second.
Will the secretary take a roll call of the commissioners?
Yes, sir. Commissioner Shalaby?
Aye.
Commissioner Koldak?
Aye.
Commissioner Salgado?
Aye.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Vice President Armstrong?
Aye.
President Traubert?
Aye.
Motion carried, and the matter is adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 7 from the First Deputy General Counsel, request to officially name North Grant Park in honor of Maggie Daly.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. It is recommended that an order be entered authorizing the General Superintendent or his designee to officially name North Grant Park in honor of Maggie Daly. The area of Grant Park is located between East Randolph Street and East Monroe Street and North Lakeshore Drive and North Columbus Drive. Pursuant to Chapter 7, Section E1 of the Code, this request to name an area of Grant Park for Maggie Daly was forwarded to the Secretary of the Chicago Park District, who filed a copy of this request with the Committee on Programs and Recreation and initiated a notice period to solicit public input. Notices were posted in parks and sent to advisory councils located within a 1-mile radius of the park site. The notice period soliciting public input was initiated on September 26, 2012. The Daly family, as well as numerous community organizations, have provided strong support for the proposed name. The redeveloped North Grant Park will be a fitting tribute to Maggie Daly, who was deeply committed to improving the lives of Chicago's children and making the city culturally rich for all its citizens. The staff recommends that the board approve the requested name change. Thank you. Any questions?
I would move to accept.
Second.
If no objection, we'll apply the last favorable roll call vote from the prior matter to this matter.
Motion carried, and the matter is adopted.
Item number 8 from the Director of Natural Resources, authorization to enter into contracts for the supply and delivery of landscape equipment. Adam Schwerner.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Adam Schwerner, Director for the Department of Natural Resources. It is recommended that an order be entered authorizing the General Superintendent or his designee to enter into a contract with Chicago United Industries Limited and Mower Works Limited to supply and deliver landscape equipment. The contractors were selected pursuant to a publicly advertised invitation for bid. The total value related to this one-year contract is $1 million, and there are 4 one-year renewal options available. This amount includes the total Amounts for the categories included within the award of $840,199.43, and an additional sum for purchases during the initial term of the contract of $159,800.57. So this contract, like a number of others we brought before you, allows the Department of Natural Resources to procure equipment that allows us to work more efficiently as the number of acres we have to manage increases and the staff allotment essentially remains the same. We have to work more efficiently. So we've brought before you a number of board letters, including for Kubotas, snow plow equipment, etc. And this will allow us to purchase aerators, chippers, brush chippers, sweepers, stump cutters, and other things associated to landscape operations. And both MowerWorks and Chicago United Industries were the two responsive companies that had the lowest responsive bids. And I'll take any questions.
Let the record reflect that Commissioner Salgado has left the meeting. Is there a motion?
Do you have a motion?
I would move to accept.
Is there a second?
Second.
I'll take a roll call vote. Commissioner Shalaby?
Aye.
Commissioner Koldyke?
Aye.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Vice President Armstrong?
Aye.
President Trobert?
Aye.
Motion carried and the matter is adopted.
Thank you very much.
Item number 9 from the Chief Program Officer, authority to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the Chicago Housing Authority to provide youth and teen programming.
Good afternoon, Commissioner Trobert, Superintendent Kelly, and the Board of Commissioners. I stand before you to recommend that in order to be entered into authorizing General Superintendent or his designee to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the Chicago Housing Authority to provide a voucher program for children who are CHA residents, a counselor and training program for teens, teen sports programming, and staff assistance for junior bears. This IGA, to me, is a great example of sister agencies working together well to serve the public. This is the largest agreement we have in an intergovernmental agreement of $400,000, 75% of it which will be going towards day camp, park kids, spring break and holiday camps, and summer sports camps to fill in the 2-week gap we have between day camp and CPS schools starting back. The other 25% goes to a counselor and training program for 35 CHA teenagers to assist the parks during the 8 weeks of summer camp. We also fund teen sports leagues, and we have Junior Bear and his inner city sports leagues at 5 parks, the Fosco Park, Taylor Park, Hamlin, Carver, and Altgeld. We also host a monthly roundtable between CPD and CHA to make sure that we're working better together, and we have plans to continue to work better together in the years to come. At the end of each session, the Park District will submit an invoice to CHA for reimbursement. Requests for extensions will be brought before the board prior to expiration of the current agreement. The amount of reimbursement will be agreed upon by CHA and the Park District, determined by the number of children registered in the previous year and available CHA funding. What we have here is a couple of pictures of our CHA residents participating in park programs. And we also have Dorian Figures and Ebony Campbell here from the Chicago Housing Authority in the audience today. So if there are any questions, I'm available to answer.
Vaughn, this is a program that's been in place for a number of years.
Mm-hmm.
How are our numbers trending with this program?
They've trended downward probably over the last 5 years, partially because of the decentralization of CHA housing, but it sort of spread out to different parks. So we have lots of different parks that are still serving those kids. We probably serve upwards of 4,000 kids.
Okay, do we do outreach to the CHA to let?
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's part of our plan going forward, is to find ways administratively to make it easier for kids to participate.
Yes. I'm sorry. Those are my questions as well, just sort of specifically how do CHA residents find out about the programs? Like, what are the actual mechanisms, and how can we amplify those so that residents know that these services are available, you know, parents, grandparents, so that so that the resources are fully taken advantage of.
So I'm going to allow Ebony and Dorian to address those questions. But in short, each CHA resident has a case manager, and they're in constant communication with these two. And so the advertisement gets out to all of the staff who work directly with the families, but I'll let them elaborate on it.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Vaughn. My name is Ebony Campbell. I'm the Director of Youth Opportunities for CHA. This is Dorian Figures. He's the project manager, and he can talk a little bit about outreach.
Again, Vaughn mentioned our Family Works department. This is how we actually get the information out to our families, and as well as information through the roundtable meetings that we actually be involved with. He talked about the different numbers of how we kind of get to where we are. We have an agreement with Park District to do some data sharing information, because a lot of the information is not being tracked correctly. So this is one of the things that we kind of doing to move forward to find out the real numbers. So that's a short answer to your question. Any other questions?
So I have a related question. So when you look at, for instance, the summer day camp says, this is under the team programming, says there's a maximum of 1,515 children. The park kids year-round, maximum 815 children. Are we reaching those maximums? How close to those maximums are we? You know, what's the data showing you there?
Well, we are, like they said earlier, the numbers are going down because of the transformation, but what we have did is open up the programs to our housing choice vouchers now, and so that's really another name for Section 8. So
right.
We're allowing the people who have moved out, who have a voucher now, to be a part of these programs. So we're looking to increase that number as this year.
Right. So we were below then. We were below the maximums last. I'm trying to understand.
Yes,
we were below the
maximum was 800. We went to 1,500. But again, we were in competition with other different locations who have summer camp, as well as last year you guys made some scholarships available to young people who were eligible for your scholarship. So that's one of the reasons, but it's a lot of competition out there.
And do we know what the universe, so 1,515 children is the cap. What's the universe of children that would be eligible? Do we actually know that?
No, I don't know that number, but again, when it comes to that particular program, when it comes to summer school and the different other programs that's going on, again, that's a lot of competition, but I'm not sure of the maximum number of CHA residents under the 6 to 12. Mm-hmm.
I can tell you that we have over 40,000 young people between the ages of 6 and 17 that are public housing and HCV residents.
Are there any more strategies just to get those numbers up? Because it just seems like such an important resource and opportunity, and to be able to extend that to Chicago's children. I mean, it just seems 40,000 and we're not able to hit that threshold. How can we better promote? You know, are there Family Works providers that have been significantly better at recruiting and sharing information? I know that they're not all the same. Some
Absolutely.
are much better
So
at
Family
connecting
Works
with
is
their
our best
clients.
tool for recruitment. They know the families. They go out there. They knock on doors. They make phone calls to get youth and families engaged. As Dorian mentioned, we definitely want to open it up to our HCV population, which we hadn't done before, and that's our largest population of young people and residents. So we think once we open up to them, we'll see an increase in engagement for the park vouchers and programs.
Is it possible to engage, I mean, and this is something we could talk offline, but engage athletes in the recruitment effort with young people?
We would love that. We would absolutely be open to that.
And, you know, are there, like, you know, just having worked at Alka Gardens and some of the other CHA communities, I know that there might be an opportunity to expand some of the program offerings for teens, let's say, or, you know, I mean, there's just always, it just seems like just such a golden opportunity for the two agencies to partner and to really make sure that we amplify these opportunities. So I think that would
Absolutely. I
be-
totally agree. We would love to be able to discuss how we can increase these opportunities beyond just the recreation programs and the camp programs.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Great. Any other discussion? We have a motion?
Let's so move.
Second.
Let the
Vote.
record reflect that Commissioner Salgado had returned to the meeting and also that Commissioner Koldyke left the meeting.
If no objection, we'll apply the last favorable roll call vote from the prior matter to this matter.
We'll have to take a roll call vote.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Commissioner Shalaby?
Aye.
Commissioner Salgado?
Aye.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Vice President Armstrong?
Aye.
President Trobert?
Aye.
Motion carried and the matter is adopted.
Item number 10, from the Acting Director of Green Initiatives, authorization to enter into a contract for the supply and delivery of recycled and multipurpose copier paper.
Good evening, President Traubert, Superintendent Kelly, Commissioners. My name is Kathy Breitenbach. I'm the Acting Director of the Department of Green Initiatives. It is recommended that an order be entered authorizing the General Superintendent or his designee to enter into a contract with Black Dog Corporation for the supply and delivery of recycled multipurpose copier paper district-wide. This company was selected by a publicly advertised invitation to bid, and they were the low bidder. Company is a local Chicago firm. It's a one-year contract with 3 additional one-year extensions. The minority participation is 25%, and the women participation is 5%. The not-to-exceed amount for this contract is $211,507.85. That number is based on paper usage in 2010 and 2011. It is worth noting that our paper usage as an agency has been going down because we're moving to a lot of digital processes for records, things like work orders and that kind of stuff. This will be used by the entire agency, but my department will track the usage so we can see if we're meeting our goals of being green. The last thing I want to point out, as part of our effort to be green, the numbers that came in for this contract, 100% recycled paper was only pennies more than the regular paper we've been using. So we are recommending that that will be the default for what people order. And that will, it sounds kind of small, it's just paper, I know, but we use about 4.5 million sheets of paper a year as an agency. And just by making that switch to recycled paper will be the equivalent of taking 28 cars off the road in terms of carbon emissions. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Kathy, this is the lowest of 3 bids. And
Yes.
the 3 one-year options, is that our option at the Park District after every year if we decide we want to continue with it?
Yes.
Rafi Sarafian, Director of Purchasing. The answer is yes, Commissioner. Like all of our contracts, the extension options are exercisable at our discretion.
And the price would remain the same, or would that be negotiated in the event of
The-
exercise of the option?
The boilerplate in all of our contracts say that for the initial term, the pricing bid, and that's approved by the board, is locked in, is not subject to change. Extension years, they are allowed, a price escalation is permitted, but at our approval, and it cannot be an extension just for profit reasons. They have to submit documentation to us saying their supply prices went up, something similar like that. They submit that paperwork to us, we review it with our sister department, and then we let the contractor know if we're approving or denying their request for a price escalation.
Is there a point of price escalation at which you no longer have authority, or it needs to come back to the board? Is there a cap on that percentage or otherwise?
No, the threshold in the code is $100,000. So if a modification or if or a not to exceed amount is above $100,000, then we come back to the board for the board's approval.
Any other discussion? Do you hear a motion?
I'd move to accept.
Second.
If no objection, we'll apply the last favorable roll call vote from the prior matter to this matter.
Motion carried and the matter is adopted.
Item number 11, from the Director of Facility Management, authorization to enter into a contract for paint and related supplies.
President Traubert, General Superintendent and CEO Michael Kelly, Commissioners, good afternoon. My name is Robert Arlo. I'm the Director of Facility Management, and I'm here today to recommend that the General Superintendent and CEO or his designee enter into a contract with Ray Product and Chemical Corp. for paint and related supplies district-wide. The contractor was selected pursuant to a publicly advertised invitation for bid, IFB. No work may commence, nor no payment shall be made to the vendor prior to the execution of a written agreement. The Department of Facility Management requires paint and related supplies for various maintenance and upkeep throughout the Park District. Having this contract in place will allow facility management to expeditiously obtain necessary supplies at a fair and reasonable price. Additionally, Ray Products has the capability to deliver our products required for this contract. Therefore, it is in the best interest of the Chicago Park District to award Ray Products and Chemical Corp. the contract for paint and related supplies. Are there any questions?
Yeah, how many bids did you have on this?
Pardon me, sir?
How many bids did you have on this?
Three. Looks like three.
Rafi Sarafian again, Director of Purchasing. We had three bids were received.
And this was the low bid?
Yes, it was.
And what are we paying? What's the bid? What is the amount of the bid? I don't see that reflected here.
It's $150,000, Commissioner.
And is this for 1 year? Are there any options with this one, such as the previous one we discussed?
This is a 1 year with 4 one-year extension options. So that at 150, going back to our previous conversation, that 150,000 is locked in for the initial term, no price escalations. They can come back to us at the first extension option if they so choose and ask us for a price escalation at that time. But again, price escalations are exercisable at our review and approval.
Any other discussion or questions?
I would move to accept.
Second.
If no objection, we'll apply the last favorable roll call vote from the prior matter to this matter.
Motion carried and the matter is adopted.
Item number 12, from the Director of Planning and Construction, authority to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the City of Chicago for a new park.
Thank you, Commissioners. Rob Raymond, Director of Planning and Construction. It is recommended that the Board of Commissioners of the Chicago Park District adopt an ordinance authorizing the General Superintendent or his designee to negotiate, enter into, execute, and take all action necessary to enter into an intergovernmental agreement between the Chicago Park District and the City of Chicago Department of Transportation to lease land for the establishment of a new park, Park 572, otherwise known as Bloomingdale Trail. The City of Chicago Department of Transportation is developing the former Bloomingdale Trail line into a multi-use linear park and trail consisting of approximately 14.15 acres of new park land. The Bloomingdale Rail line is a 2.7-mile elevated railroad right-of-way on Chicago's northwest side and consists of reinforced concrete retaining walls, soil, and 37 bridges where it crosses other roads. Today, railroad use of the right-of-way is virtually stopped. The Park District, in cooperation with the City of Chicago, Trust for Public Land, and community organizations, volunteers, and donors, plans to convert the Bloomingdale Trail, an elevated multi-use linear park, convert it to a park and trail. This infrastructure use project will transform a piece of Chicago's industrial heritage into an actively used recreational greenway, anchoring playgrounds and park improvements at various access points along the trail. Just a little bit of where we're at in the process now. Again, it is a partnership between the Park District, Trust for Public Land, and CDOT, as well as DCASE for ongoing arts integration into the overall project. We've handed over the drawings to IDOT and officially handed the project over to CDOT for bidding and construction. We expect construction to start in July and finish by fall of 2014 with the Bloomingdale Basic Trail. And for the actual IGA, I turn this over to Tim King for some of the points related to the agreement of the lease.
Thanks, Rob. The Bloomingdale Linear Park is a piece of property we've been negotiating with the city over for about 9 months now. It encompasses 4 different wards and serves multiple communities. The intergovernmental agreement that we're asking you to authorize today actually serves multiple purposes. It's a lease, it's a maintenance and operating agreement, it delineates physical boundaries and responsibilities between the parties. Originally, the city wanted this to be a 99-year lease. We worked very hard and diligently to negotiate this down to 25 years, which coincides with the useful life of the capital improvement. The city will deliver a fully constructed linear park to the Park District. The city is responsible for maintaining bridge structures, concrete embankments, walls, stairs, ramps, other infrastructure within their right-of-way. And the CPD maintains lighting, trails, landscaping, signage, furnishing, and railings, essentially allowing both parties to do what they do best. Park District will also provide day-to-day maintenance, which includes garbage removal and snow removal. Provisions for artwork along the embankments has been included in partnership with DCASE, so that's an important community project for some of the school kids. And finally, sign revenue and all relations and references to sign revenue has been removed from this agreement. We feel it's important enough to be treated in a separate agreement, but we will note that through the superintendent and through the legal counsel, we have negotiated that sign revenue generated along the Bloomingdale Trail will serve for operation and maintenance costs at the Bloomingdale Trail.
Happy to take any questions.
So Rob, I mean, we've been doing this incrementally. It's not like just today we are accepting, or we are officially accepting it, but we've been working on Bloomingdale Trail for a while, and it is one of the most exciting projects that we've got going, and I think will have great impact. We've made the point from this commission before about the fact that, you know, we open new buildings, we open new parks, new facilities, and yet our budget, Soldier Field increased revenues notwithstanding, tends to stay flat. So certainly if this is a maintenance and operating agreement, you must have a placeholder number to understand what our obligation is to this. And I just wonder if you could tell us about that.
Sure. It's approximately 15 acres, and we typically maintain per acre for various levels. For a very standard park where it's just mowing grass and maintaining trees, and there's not many park features, it gets around $5,000 an acre. For a highly a specialized park with a lot of unique features, it can go all the way up to $20,000 an acre, and that's where you have a lot of like specialized planting beds, flower beds, formal gardens, etc. Bloomingdale Trail is we're not planning on that being that highest level of maintenance. It really does function mostly as a trail, and it does have some beautiful plantings along the way. We are estimating around $15,000 per acre, given that it's a unique condition, and so per year that would be around $250,000. For all of the elevated landscape and arts integration and above and beyond park features, part of what Trust for Public Land is doing is raising funds for ongoing programming, education, and elevated maintenance for things like special gardens, community gardens, and artwork that will be integrated into the design and future phases.
And once we accept this, security continues to be the responsibility of the Chicago Police Department?
Security is the responsibility of the Chicago Police Department, like it is across the district. And the commanders throughout the various districts that the Bloomingdale Trail goes through have been part of the community process, attending meetings, talking with OEMC about camera locations and whatnot. So they've been folded into the mix, and it is a Chicago Police Department responsibility.
Any other questions on this issue?
Just, so we won't see the final intergovernment agreement before it's inked? This is authority to ink it right now?
Yeah, per code and per act, you're giving us the authority to enter into the intergovernmental agreement, but I've highlighted the substantial, relevant, and material terms for you today. The agreement is in final form. It's just a matter. In fact, I believe the city took it to the city council today.
Okay.
So.
If no other discussion, may we have a motion?
So moved.
I would second.
If no objection, we'll apply the last favorable roll call vote from the prior matter to this matter.
Motion carried and the matter is adopted.
Item number 13, from the Director of Planning and Construction, authorization to enter into a contract for Chicago Women's Park and Gardens Fieldhouse Phase 2 development.
Thank you. Again, Rob Raymond, Director of Planning and Construction. It's recommended that an order be entered authorizing the general superintendent or his designee to enter into contracts with Friedler Construction Company for Phase 2 development of Chicago Women's Park and Gardens Fieldhouse. The contractor was selected pursuant to bidding. Chicago Women's Park and Gardens is located at 1801 South Indiana Avenue. Construction is to be substantially completed by May 31st, 2013. That is a 3 to 3.5 month construction schedule. It's very aggressive, but with mostly interior build-out, we'd like to get the spaces inside done as quickly as possible, even if exterior renovations go past that date. The minority and women-owned participation for the contract include 25.48% MBE, 9.52% WBE. The work includes, but is not limited to, replacement of the roofs, repair and or replacement of areas of exterior masonry and concrete, and development of the second and third floors. The second floor consists of 3 fitness studios and 1 club room, bathrooms and changing rooms and storage areas, and the third floor includes 5 flexible activity rooms, entry, lobby, and storage, flexible open space, and rehabilitated washrooms, and also a small office. There were 4 bids received, and this was issued as an RFP, and we're selecting the lowest of those 4 bidders. The bids were pretty tight. The second bid was 2.53, and the third was 2.55, and this one is, again, $2,395,800.
And Rob, I'm sorry if I missed it, but did you tell the board the source of funds?
Source of funds is all TIF funds.
Any discussion at all?
Have we dealt with Friedler Construction before?
Yeah, they regularly bid on our projects, and they've performed well in the past.
And they're pretty good on coming in on contract.
Yeah.
I know there's
this is
exceptions.
Yeah. We bid this job with a very aggressive date in the RFP, so all bidders knew about that date. We know it's aggressive, but we think if we hit it hard, we can get this job done.
And I see the bids were all very close, so I think we're right in the ballpark there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What else? Okay. I would move to accept.
Second. If no objection, we'll apply the last favorable roll call vote from the prior matter to this matter.
Motion carried and the matter is adopted.
Next on the agenda is the 2012 year-end MBE-WB report from the Director of Purchasing, Rafi Sarafian.
Good afternoon again, Rafi Sarafian, Director of Purchasing. I'm here today to present the 2012 year-end MBE-WBE utilization report. This report is a reflection of the Department of Purchasing's efforts to ensure minority and women-owned businesses have a fair opportunity to participate in Chicago Park District contracts and are included in the procurement process here. Pursuant to Chapter 11 of the Code of the Chicago Park District, some of the steps the Department of Purchasing takes in pursuit of this commitment is to include, number 1, attaching 25% MBE and 5% WBE participation requirements to specifications for contract. And 2, advertising specification for contracts whose value exceeds $10,000 as target market solicitations. 3, including small purchases within the Chicago Park District's target market program. And 4, outreach efforts. This report also reflects the ongoing work of purchasing to ensure and verify the participation and utilization of MBE and WBE firms, including unannounced site visits to CPD construction sites, and 2, with either each payment or monthly utilization report, receiving copies of canceled checks from the GC to their MBE and WBE subcontractor, or waivers of liens from the MBE, WBE subcontractors to their GC. What's the result of these efforts, or how are we doing? Chapter 11 of the code requires with each contract the expenditure of 25% of the contract value with 1 or more MBEs and 5% with WBEs. Through the fourth quarter of 2012, we are exceeding this requirement. Specifically, 28% of the aggregate dollar amount of contracts measured by actual payments managed by the Department of Purchasing has been expended with MBEs and 11% with WBEs. This participation is measured over approximately 120 contract awards, 360 RFQ pool project awards, and over 4,100 small purchases. The Department of Purchasing is one part of the business side of the Chicago Park District, and it has the same responsibility of serving Chicago's communities as the other departments here. Through the inclusion of minority and women-owned businesses throughout the procurement process at the CPD, the Department of Purchasing works daily to support the Park District efforts to build better communities throughout the city. Thank you for the opportunity to present this report to you today, and are there any questions?
Rafi, you know, I've witnessed a lot of MBWBE reports at the Public Building Commission, and one of Mayor Emanuel's points and questions is always, how are we doing across the board in terms of MBWBE for services rendered? By that I mean comparing landscape and construction to legal and accounting. Do you look at that, and how are we doing there?
We do look across the board, and the report that we give to you details how we're doing on non-construction and construction contracts. And the non-construction is broken down into commodities and services, and then services are broken down even farther into management contracts, landscaping, and we get into financial, we get into legal as well. And again, across the numbers I gave you are in the aggregate, and so we're the aggregate meaning the combined of the construction and non-construction, and that's what the code holds us accountable to, and we're at 28 and 11.
And do you run across cases where there's just disregard for this and you end up pursuing damages?
There have been occasions where we've had to reach out to a contractor to call them in because we see their numbers aren't where they should be. Meaning they're not quite at their commitment. We have the maximum hammer to swing, which is debarment. And certainly we can do that, but we tend to view that as a last resort option. We prefer firsthand to work with these vendors, to call them in to see what the problem is. On the construction side, especially, we also look at where we are in terms of the project schedule. An example I've mentioned before is if an MBE is going to be doing finishing work, then it makes no sense for me to hold them accountable for that percentage when they haven't finished building the structure yet. So it depends where we are in the process, and that's how we start gauging where we are, what we're going to do in terms of intervening. But we are aggressive in intervening, and we do have lots of meetings, and usually the meetings are productive. And before I swing the final hammer of a debarment, I found that withholding payment is oftentimes an effective way to send a message to contractors that aren't responsive to us.
Rafi, it looks like design and engineering services are a place where we don't quite hit the threshold. What's the reason for that?
Design and engineering, the issue there, those are pool contracts. So oftentimes we have a lot of firms in the pool, but how much it's an as-needed type of work situation. So we don't know how much work we're going to give to a pool. We don't know what type of work, how much it's going to be, and how often. So that's one of the situations there. The other situation too is sometimes some of the work, the skill set we're looking for is highly skilled, and sometimes it's difficult to find compliance where there's a highly skilled type of situation. But we do work with our planning department to help them intervene with us to get the numbers up. And like I said, when numbers are low and we see there's really no response, then that's when I start going into meetings and start also then holding payments. And the departments here can speak to how often I hold payments because it makes their lives more difficult.
Can you talk a little bit about how you cultivate and encourage more minority women business enterprises to directly bid for contracts? I mean, I think it's great to see that we're hitting pretty close to those percentages of the 30%,
Sure.
minority and women. I mean, what about direct contracts to minority and women business enterprises?
Absolutely, Commissioner. We view our homepage and the Doing Business button on our homepage as a key way for us to do outreach. We have been for over a year now, 24/7, 365 on the internet. And so you can download our bids from our homepage. You can see the list of firms that have downloaded bids. So if you want to see who your competition is or who you might want to partner with on a bid, we have that information online. So that communication is key, and that's when all of our contracts are online. So communication is key. But beyond that, every morning at 9 a.m., we have 2 compliance officers, and one of them will send an email to all the assist agencies, the MBE, WB assist agencies, telling them, good morning, here are the open bids right now at the Chicago Park District, please inform your membership. So we're active that way. The other thing, another thing that we do outreach. We go into the community. We'll meet with the membership of the assist agencies. When elected officials want us to speak to their constituents, we go out and we speak to their constituents about how to do business with the Park District. And in fact, a week ago, on last Thursday morning, myself and my staff, we were at the Rainbow Push headquarters doing a presentation to the International Trade Bureau there about how to do business with the Chicago Park District. There were about 40 members there. It was well attended, and they really appreciated our outreach effort at Push headquarters and the information that we gave them. We walked them through our homepage, how to do business with us, how to find the information they need so they can make their business decisions. So we're active in going out and outreach and speaking to the community, and so we're always looking to do more. One of the nice features on our homepage at our Doing Business button, we have we keep a vendor list, a vendor database, and though you don't have to be on a registered vendor with the Park District generally to do business with us, with the exception of RFQ pools, but if you register in our database, then you are telling us what your areas of business are, and then whenever we have a bid in that area of business, we will send you an email. And so that's one of the important pieces of information that we communicate to people when we do outreach. So we're trying to make purchasing at the Park District very user-friendly, very customer-friendly, and so. Are we satisfied? Yeah, but can we do more? Absolutely. We can always improve, and that's what we're seeking to do. And we hope this year, lastly, to do a vendor fair for the Park District. And so we hope that'll be another way for us to do outreach. Regarding vendor fairs, we participate in the cities and the sister agencies' vendor fairs as well. So we do a variety of initiatives to try to increase minority and women-owned participation, either as a GC or as a sub.
Great, thank you.
Anything else? Rafi, thank you. And I know it's the law, but you know what a priority this is, and we appreciate your staying after this and stay after it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At this point, I know it's getting late. We've been here a while. When we were at the People in the Parks session, there was no one here, and we did have some people show up. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So I hope our fellow commissioners will agree that if people from the public came all this way, that we really ought to hear what they say, although I know we don't have an obligation to since we missed that section. Do I need to do anything else, or we can just invite people up?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Against? Great.
Okay, I
We'll
just
call-
ask that everyone please observe the 2-minute limit. Thank you.
Our first 3 speakers are George Blakemore, Irma Trenter, and Maria Stone.
George Blakemore, and I'm a concerned citizen, and I love this format that you have. Putting the public speakers at the end, because I've been educated. It's been enlightened and very informative when I was listening to the way your procedure going about giving those contracts. So usually I like this format better because I can have a little better input on the process. When you have this vendor up here with Soldier Field, and I hope that the Park District utilize the Civic Federation, and everything should be transparent at every stage that you go through in that contract. So when the public gets something 20, 40 pages, they're not going to read it. So you come up and then you have your presentation and then you vote on it. All of this was not transparent to the public prior to today. So again, and maybe when you make those, select those vendors, the public can be invited. We're not going to be violent, and we don't even have to speak. You can learn so much just from listening. So when you in-house professional gave this contract with those two bids, I would have loved to been there, just observe it. Not gonna say open mouth, you can have a rule. No talking from the public. Just be
30 seconds remaining.
So again, and I looked at this contract, the other contracts, and it's very important that you are using the Chicago Police Department in your parks. I think you should go back and help the police department and have your own policemen, because a lot of this drug and violence that's going on in the black community, these parks are not safe. Again, I love this format, and that budget director wasn't very accessible to me when I asked her one of the questions.
You have exceeded your 2 minutes.
By the public. And in the future, when the public want to ask you something, please try to answer their question, because you are a public servant. Thank you again. I want to bless everybody, and I want you all to bless somebody else. And I'm here to serve, and I live to serve, but I don't serve to live. That means I don't get paid.
Thank
Bye.
you, Mr. Blackmore.
God bless you.
Good evening, Superintendent, Commissioners. Maria DiMaturco Stone, Director of Neighborhood Parks at Friends of the Parks. First, I wanted to thank the Park District in advance for partnering with Friends of the Parks on the 4th Annual Park Advocacy Conference. This year's conference will be held March 9th at the South Shore Cultural Center. Our theme is Our Park and Our Community. So the goal of this year's conference is to give advisory council members and park advocates ownership of their parks. We will have breakout sessions focusing on capacity building, fundraising, programming. In addition to this conference, we will be hosting a security summit for parks. The reason why we're having this summit this year is last year, the parks, there was just too much violence in the parks, and advisory councils, they don't know what to do. So we've invited decision makers and advisory councils to share their ideas, their thoughts, any kind of successes they have in their parks with the decision makers, as well as other advisory councils, so that when this summer, as soon as the summer happens, we know there could be some hope in the parks, and they'll be able to do something about it in addition to just calling the police. So again, commissioners, superintendent, community members, please attend our 4th Annual Park Advocacy Conference. It'll be March 9th at 8:15 in the morning to 2 o'clock, and it is free for the public. And thank you for the free parking, the advisory councils in advance. Really appreciate that. So I am not Irma Tranter, however, I will read her presentation. Friends of the Parks supports the plan for Phase 2 rehabilitation of the Women's Park Fieldhouse. The community and aldermen have worked with the Park District for a plan to use TIF funding for this expansion. Our concerns are centered on the unanswered questions on the proposed lease agreement with Kids Science Labs for the use of the 3rd floor. As you know, Friends of the Park's most basic principle is that our parks are publicly owned and accessible to all residents. We have questions on the use of the 3rd floor by the private, for-profit Kids Science Labs. Since the lease has not
You have
been
exceeded your time.
Oh, I'm doing Irma's part now.
I know, but you can only use your time according to the public participation rules.
Okay. Well, there is a letter that Cantrice will submit to the board, and we just wanted to be sure that the community will have access to the 3rd floor and are part of the public process.
I
So
can address
you
this.
have my letter.
This is sort of in reference to the third floor development of the Women's Park facility. We've been working with a education science partner at no cost to the Park District to provide some specialized programming to the kids on the 3rd floor. It's not been finalized yet. I think there's a community meeting coming up. Oh, it happened Monday? And did it receive support? That's a thumbs up. I did speak with Alderman Dowell a week ago on this matter as well. So as always, we're not going to do anything without community support. So I think we're in good shape, and I think this is going to be an exciting new program that we bring to the South Loop.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks.
Our last speaker is Mr. Randall Raaflaub. Is he present? Then we have no more speakers.
That's it? Okay. That concludes the board meeting. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. The board meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.